All right, here we go. Modular type. So this is our modular type project. We're going to be designing a modular alphabet and a type specimen poster. So a modular typeface is an alphabet constructed out of limited number of shapes or modules. Modular describes any letter assembled from a limited palette of distinct elements repeated, flipped, and flopped, but not scaled. Typically, these elements are geometric and simple in shape, square pixels on a digital display, or modern as circles, squares, and lines. This assignment asks you to design your own typeface in a simple manner. Working with modular shapes to construct type in this way will help you to understand the architecture of letter forms and the coherence of harmony intrinsic to type design. So here you can see there's an example of one on a grid paper. We will be using grid paper to develop ours. So here's an example of what that looks like. We're going to look for repetition in letters where you can repeat your designs and what letters are unique. You're going to start by designing letters on a grid of squares or a grid of dots. You may substitute the curves and diagonals of traditional letter forms with gridded or rectilinear elements. The only rules are you cannot use hand lettering or develop letters based on some existing font. The letters must be constructed. Avoid making detailed staircases, which are just curves and diagonals in disguise. So this one I think is interesting, how they made the diagonals out of these shapes, these curved shapes. So that module, they have a curved modular that works for their diagonals, I think in a very interesting way. So we're going to use graph paper and pencil for the start of this project. Our ultimate goal is to design 26 basic upper or lowercase letters. You don't have to do both. You're going to do one or the other. So your first choice is going to decide if you want to make uppercase letters or lowercase letters. You're going to use modules that are built from the primary forms, circle, triangle, and square, and combinations of thereof. So you want to basically start with these basic forms and combine them. You can combine them or keep them separate, but we're staying with our basic key shapes, circle, square, triangle. So with your modules, you're going to need a stem, a bowl, a crossbar, or stroke. You're going to need to consider the shapes needed: round, rectilinear, round, rectangle, diagonal, rectangle, and serifs if you choose to use serifs. So on this example here, these are the modules. And from these shapes, all the shapes of the alphabet will be made. So you can see that you have a stem, right? You have a stem, you have a bowl, you have a cross stroke or bar. You could use it for either. There have serifs, right? So this has serifs. And I'll continue to show you how we think about the letter forms. So here we have the way capitals and lowercase are constructed. And these are the shapes that each of the letter forms use. So you can see a round shape, you're going to use the G, S, C, O, Q, G, and S in the capitals. And in the lowercase, it's the lowercase G, C, E, and O. And so it goes for that. So they've broken up, we have all of the letter forms based on their shape. So you'll know as you're building your shapes, you're going to need a round shape, a rectangular shape, a round rectangular shape, a diagonal shape, and a diagonal rectangular shape for capitals. And for lowercase, you're going to need a round shape, a round vertical, round diagonal, a diagonal, and a vertical. So these are the shapes. So again, you're going to choose one or the other. You're not doing both. You're choosing capitals or lowercase. And depending on which one you choose, here's your construction shapes you're going to need to make sure you include in your module. Does that make sense so far?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. All right, so here is the scaffolding we'll be using. So for example, we're going to be building all of our shapes. So here's an example of the letter H being built with the modules, the capital H. And so you can see there's cap height, the mean line, the baseline, descenders down here. So here's the crossbar. Here's the stem for the capital, right? And then here's, and there's the stem, kind of goes to this very little pine peak right there, but that's how it works. So that's the stem, and this is the crossbar. But when we build everything, and when you build your modules, you want to make sure that you've developed your scaffolding, which shows the cap height, the mean line, the baseline, the descender. And you can have an ascender line too, or you can use the cap height. Depends on how you're designing your scaffolding. So here's another example. Here we're back on our graph paper. Again, you can see the cap height, the mean line, and the baseline. And so here's an H, an O, and an A built with the module system. And then once you've gotten your basic modules and you kind of have started thinking about how it's working, you might sketch some letters on graph paper and refine them to something new. So for example, like they started with this first one, but they might think, how else can I arrange these on the module? So there's variations of it. So here's variations using the serif element they had and just using the top piece, or just using this mid piece and not having it go up so high, or rounding everything. What if we just round the tops? So, I mean, kind of exploring all the different ways and the variations that they might, or the edits they might make to decide what they want, and if they want to make any edits or changes accordingly. So this is kind of an exploration of all the variations of the modules before they go into designing all 26 letters. And I just put the little module down here just to kind of for reference, so you can see that. Once we have developed all 26 letters, we're going to move into a program called Calligrapher. And Calligrapher allows us to make our typeface that we design usable. So we will actually build a typeface you can use. So it's going to go into this template, and there's an application we're going to download. And you can, all of our letter forms are going to go in here, and they have, you can see, you can either be uppercase, or down here would be the lowercase. And once you put it through Calligrapher, you'll be able to download the font, put onto your computer, and then you'll be able to use it to create your type specimen poster. So when Type Foundries create new typefaces, they want to show it off so that a graphic designers will buy it and want to use it. They do this generally by showing all of the letters in different sizes. Your charge is going to be to create a type specimen poster for your new typeface. So you're going to get to name your typeface. So for example, this is from last semester. This typeface is called Sublime. And or Sublime Days, sorry, Sublime Days. And so this is the typeface, and it's going to talk about what it's ideal for. It's ideal for a variety of creative applications, such as graphic tees, architecture designs, and tarot cards. This font thrives with a statement piece. While it shines as a display font, its impact is heightened when complemented by supplementary typefaces to provide optimal balance and versatility. The whole typeface will need to be on here. So this student decided to make their typeface very small over here in the corner, and then chose just some bigger faces big. And then is showing like the typeface, like playfully going on curved lines, and kind of trying to want it to be very 60s and funky, I think is the idea. But the idea is you want to just show how your typeface works, how it's helpful to kind of also show some of the characteristics of the modules and show a little bit about how it goes. There's another example from last semester. This was pulp, and you want to make sure that your type specimen paper poster displays the name, basically some ideas of what it's about. So you have this display font is inspired by lemons, and their juicy essence, pulp, brings an innovative way of designing posters with a bit of soury taste. And so then you have sweet, citrus, if life gives you lemons, make lemonade. And there's the whole typeface, the whole alphabet is right there on this side. Some of the keywords, a big letter. It's nice to show a really big letter so people can see the kind of construction of it. And of course, the name of the typeface, which is pulp in this case. So there are a lot of places to look and get examples of module typefaces. And so I'm going to click on, I have some of these here, and I'm going to pull them up and put them on so you can kind of take a look at some of them. These are all on the assignment brief, so you'll have these. I put them here so we could kind of pull them up easily. So Wim Krauw is a designer who is created a lot of, I think there were samples. Where are the samples? Maybe they changed this typeface up from last semester. You know what? I feel like this has changed since last semester. I don't have the samples I wanted to show you. Let's use this one. Here we go. So Philip Epilogue has a bunch of module type examples, so you can kind of see how they're based. And again, really look for the shapes. You're going to see this repeating shape, so you can kind of clearly start seeing the stems, and then the way they're repeating, the way they rotate. So remember, you can take your module and it can rotate, you know, in every direction. You can't scale it up and down, but you can rotate it, you can flip it. So a shape can work two different ways. That way it can rotate around. So here you can see on the O, the shape is facing up and then down. So it's rotated to face down. And that and that same shape is at the bottom of the U over here with two squares above it. You can see how they handled the X. Some of the harder letters, of course, are the X and the diagonal letters. Let's go back and try some of the other ones. That's less module. Let's go to the dots. That's going to be more module. Yeah. Made out of dots. This is a good example of one. So these are for your reference. You can look at more of these. Susanna Licco, remember, she's the one who did the bitmap fonts for Emigre, and then she did Mrs. Eves and Mr. Eves. She has a bunch in here. If I can find some of them. I bet you this one is. Find another one. These are really display faces when we do it. So here's her low res. Remember that one? That's very module. And so when you get to your poster, you might need to do another typeface that is complementing it so that you can get to some of the smaller types. So if you looked at some of our examples, Like you can see this is a display face. So this typeface is in a complementary typeface. Same here, this typeface is complementary because these very display typefaces can't be used to write body copy. So you'll be pairing it with something along the way. So here's some more typographic posters to show how you display a typeface. So here's the name of the typeface, and then here's all of the type, very modular. So I encourage you to really play through. Here's some more. Ooh, and this one's animating. Well, this is fun. So they've made this one. Let's see, the 5 system is one of a series of stencil type families published by McNeil in 2017. It was extensively revised and republished in 2021 in 3 different contours, each in 2 widths, 2 optical weights, and in positive and negative versions. That's super fun. What do you guys think of that? Do you like that?
Yeah, it is fun. I like it.
Yeah. So there's a lot to explore. So I encourage you to take a look just to get, I mean, are you guys getting what I mean by like what a modular typeface is? Is this making sense?
Yes.
Okay. I heard
Well,
yes, and did I hear a no, or what did I hear?
I said yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Can you I wanted to make sure that I have it clear. Modular, it's like the complementary typeface, or it can be.
No, it's made out of a module. So let's go back here. This is a module. That
Okay.
means it's a kit of parts. So we're going to make parts. The first step is going to be making the parts, and then like blocks. Think of it like when you were like, anyone ever play with color forms? Does anyone know what that is? Or like blocks? So basically, you're going to make blocks and you're going to put blocks together to build letters. And you're going to keep repeating the shapes. So whatever's on this module, these are the only shapes you can use to build your typeface. Okay?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's like a kit of parts. So it's not really about complementary, but it's about using a kit of parts, and that's your module. And that's the only thing you use to build all your typeface. However, you can rotate them. So all of these shapes, like they're in one position right now, but they can rotate, they can flip. You can use them flipped one way or the other way. So they can flip, they can rotate, but you cannot scale them. There's no scaling, okay?
Okay.
But you got to know all the parts you need, right?
Yes.
And then,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead. What's your question?
The body, they can be body copied then?
No,
them?
no, they're gonna be display faces.
Okay.
So you see all the examples I'm showing you? They're big and they're bold and they're kind of bulky and blocky. So they're not for body copy. They're actually for headlines and things like that. They're only for headlines. They're big and they're blocky and they're bold. They're not something you could easily read a paragraph of copy with. That's not what they're designed for. They're really designed to be like the headline of your poster, like they're used to be big, and they're supposed to be kind of funky and playful. And this is a typeface you can really have a lot of fun with. I really love this guy. You can just kind of play with exploring curves and shapes, and think of these as like a kit of parts and blocks or color forms. And the idea is that they're a little funky, and they're not made to be reading a whole book worth of copy for, and that's okay. That's okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Remember, we're going to be using the circle, triangle, and square as the bases to build your modules off of. So we're staying real simple. We're going back to basics, right? Real basic. All right, so let me show you the, let's see, where do I have somewhere? Here it is. Let me show you the modular assignment sheet, modular type assignment sheet. So our objective here for this is to learn to identify the essential characteristics or the anatomy of our letter forms. We want to explore the expressive potential for typography, understand the architecture of letter forms, and coherence and harmony intrinsic to type design. Methodology of the document, relevant design inspiration and processes, demonstrate explanatory visual craft, hand and digital, develop and improve skills in Adobe Illustrator. We're going to be using Pathfinder, Shape Builder, and Clean Vectors. So I've already kind of talked about what we're going to do is you're going to be using our graph paper. We're going to be making modular shapes. And we're going to explore the modular system. This was all in the slideshow, so I'm not going to go through that again. These are all those designers to check out. I've given you the links, and there's Instagrams you can follow too if you are more of an Instagrammer. Those are some Instagrams to follow. When we get to the poster part, we'll talk about all the things that need to be on the poster, but I'm not going to worry about that today. And then we'll talk about more poster layout later once we get once we get our typeface created. So the first thing is designing our module, but I do think this chart, which is here as well, the one in the slideshow is also right here, which really shows you the things to think about. So the very first choice you have to make before you even start your module is, do I want to make a typeface with all capitals or all lowercase? So that's the first choice you have is, do I want to go capitals or lowercase? So think about that. And then this is going to show you all the things to think about for the lowercase and the capitals. There's also serifs. Do I want to add serifs to my design? And then this is just a nice little chart reminding you of the different serifs: bracketed serifs, wedge serif, slab serif, cup serif, rounded serif, hairline serif. Kind of can look at all the different styles as an opportunity. Here's some more examples from my previous classes of design. Here is magnet. And this student, I like that they show all of the way they made it. So it's a modular type that makes the basic pieces in 5 standard composites. So it's kind of showing the basic pieces, and then the composite pieces kind of walks you through the process that they went through to design this. That they did use serifs, and they had non-serif terminals, and circular letters are half filled. You know, they're kind of walking you through all of their decisions. They're also showing you all the different sizes and how small it can get, and how, you know, how it looks big and small. So I think that's also nice. There's a lot of information here, but it's kind of nice because it really does walk through the process that they went through. So I feel like this was a really successful type specimen poster because it's really walking you through the design process and also showing you things that you would want a type specimen for. Like, how does it work in different colors? How does it work in different sizes? What are the basic shapes it's made out of? And I think some of these others didn't really do that as successfully. So I think that's nice to see how this one worked. All right, I'm gonna pause here. Not the screen share. I want to pause our